Hello everyone, welcome to this new video on the channel and welcome to a new series on the channel. So we've got Rovers Rundown. So what this is basically going to be is a show about Doncaster Rovers. Going to aim to do it every Friday, release it at 2:30, but we're going to see how it goes. Like I say, we might chop and change a few things. I need your guys' help to let me know what you like, what you want to change, stuff like that, so I can make it the best show possible. So what's going to be included? First off, going to have a look back at the Rovers results. It'll be from the previous Friday. So for example, we'll have a Northampton game to look back on this one. And in other shows, like I say, if you have a Tuesday night game as well, we'd look at that as well. And then we'll have a quick look over the League One results as well. Anything that's gone on at Rovers, stuff like that. It's been quite weak this week, so not a lot to report on there. And then we'll look at the game coming up throughout the next week. So just ready this week, but like I say, for a Tuesday night match as well, we'll have a look at that. And then a final look at the fixtures in League One. So yeah, anyway, so like I say, it's brand new. We're going to be trying a few things. So the plan is originally every Friday at 2:30 this will be released, and then you can watch it after you finish work on a Friday. But that might change. Might do a few lives. Might have some guests on. Might have some opposition guests giving their opinions on the game or the game that happened. Yeah, let me know what you want in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. But anyway, let's get this first episode underway and let's go back to the match last Saturday against Northampton Town. So last Saturday it finished Doncaster Rovers 1, Northampton Town 2. I won't actually start the game, first home game I missed this season. I was an oldie in Corfu, however I did watch it on the iFollow, but I really wish I didn't, to be fair. I wish I'd had a few more hours in the sun. It wasn't good for it. I mean, from the start, we just didn't look good, in my opinion. Northampton started quite strong. I think we're putting a lot of crosses into the box. I think trying to use the aerial threat, which we knew we struggled with quite a lot. And they started off on the front foot, really, started aggressively against us. Because I thought this could be one where they might sit back and then try and get a late winner, get one on break. But yeah, that weren't the case at all. They came at us from the start, but it were actually Rovers that took the lead and went into half time at 1-0 up. Ben Close gave us the lead. It was a deflected shot. But they all count, don't they? And 1-0 at half time, you were thinking, it's not looking brilliant, but if we get the win, that's all that matters ultimately. But literally straight after half time, Northampton went and equalised. There were a few shots for offside as well, but ultimately, it weren't good enough defending, in my opinion. Ball went in way too easily, and it was a good finish, to be fair, but we've got to be doing better defensively than that. Set pieces once again. And then, we had a few chances. Bailey really should have, finished that chance. Somehow it went behind him. But, yeah, other than that, Alessandro had that weird back heel, which Keith made a good save from. But other than that, kind of more half chances more than anything. And Northampton, of course, took the lead. It were a penalty. It were a penalty as well. It was Stonewaller. And, it got converted to make it 2-1. And then later on in the game, another penalty, which that one was as well. No complaints with either at penalties. And, thought it was going to be 3-1, but, Timmy got down well because it weren't best placement on penalty, but it had quite a lot of power down, on it. And Timmy did well, to keep it out. But ultimately, that performance weren't good enough. And, it's another loss on the board. We are bottom of the form table in League One, which, ain't a good sign. We really need to turn this around. I mean, luckily, like I say, we had a good start to the season, because if not, it could be dangerous looking over our shoulders. We're still in 12th place at the minute. But yeah, that were a tough one to take, to be fair. Bit of a downright holiday. We still had a good time, but it weren't good to watch. We just simmed off it. And Northampton, did deserve the win, I think. And we'll go again. Like I say, we've got a tough game against Reading coming up, which I'll talk about in a bit. But that sees us down to 12th. Northampton have overtook us into 11 as we move on to Saturday. So other results from League One, then you had Burton Albion 0, Peterborough United 1. A real 6-pointer, to be fair, down at the bottom. Both teams were struggling, and it was Peterborough who got the win. And then a match at the top of the table, which Lincoln came on the better side of, beating Stevenage by 1-0, which good result for Lincoln, to be fair. They're hanging in there in the playoffs. Stevenage started really well, but were Lincoln who got the win. And then Blackpool 1, Wycombe Wanderers 1, and then a Yorkshire derby, Bradford 2, Barnsley 2. fantastic goal for Barnes. I think it was an equalising goal, the first goal in their own half. You can say what you want about the keeper. You can't take away from it. It was a fantastic finish. And yeah, that match finished 2-2, which not bad result for Barnes in my opinion. A tough place to go at Bradford, and then Cardiff City beating our opponents this weekend at Reading by 2-1. Next result, we don't need to talk about that, do we? We've already spoke about it. Luton 0, Mansfield Town 2. Not an easy place to go to Luton, so a good victory for Mansfield there. And Plymouth 1, AFC Wimbledon 2. Plymouth's bad form continues. Rotherham getting a good win against Leyton Orient. Stockport getting a win against Exeter City, who were also in bad form. Both Devon clubs not in best of form going into that Devon derby on Thursday, which will have been played last night as you're watching. And finally, Wigan Athletic 1, Port Vale 0. So that's it for the Saturday games, but we're also a game on a Tuesday night. Like I say, our opponents Reading having a midweek game, which will beat Northampton Town by 1-0. So yeah, Reading have we've had a game midweek, so can that factor into it a bit of tiredness, but I don't think it will, to be honest with you. But that does mean we're coming into this game off of a win as well, so which might have been different if we were coming off that loss to Cardiff. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. So before we move on to this weekend, let's just have a quick look at the table then. So it's Cardiff City who are sitting top of the table, currently on 12 games with 26 points. Then Stevenage a point behind them, but a game in hand. But as I always say, you'd rather have the points than the games in hand. Bradford also not far behind on 25, and then Wimbledon and Stockport also on 25 points, and then Lincoln complete the playoff spots with Bolton, Huddersfield and Mansfield Town just behind them. And then at the bottom it's Blackpool at the foot of the table, who of course just appointed Ian Evatt, and then Peterborough just behind him, and then Burton and Port Vale complete the bottom four. And you've got Wickham, Rotherham and our opponents Reading, who jumped out of the playoffs with their win midweek, and Plymouth also and Leyton Orient are looking over their shoulders. So it's time to move on to our opponents this weekend then. So a mini match preview coming up. So this weekend, of course, we have got Reading away, and I'm going to that one. I'm looking forward to it. First visit to Reading. It's going to be 62 out of the 92 completed, and of course there'll be a match day vlog on the Sunday, so make sure you come and check that video out when it is released on Sunday. So in terms of Reading, we're currently sitting in 18th place out of 24 teams in League 2, just a point above the relegation zone. And so far this season, we've had 3 wins, 5 draws and 5 defeats. And their last game was that one in midweek where they had a 1-0 win at home to Northampton Town. So in the last 3 games, they have won 1, lost 1 and drawn 1. And they have lost 1 of the last 7 games. That does include a few other competitions as well. That's in all competitions. And it's been a weird season for Reading. I'll be honest, at the start of the season, it was really hard to predict how we're going to do. Obviously, the last few years have had a lot of ownership issues with Dai Young. He, basically got told, you've got to sell the club up by X date, or basically the club's going to get liquidated. And luckily, they managed to get over the line, and it looks like all that's now behind him, and they can move forwards. But it's been a tricky season for Reading. I suppose, new owners and a lot of changes at the club, it's always going to be tough. So it's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of adapting, and that's probably a reason why we're struggling. But they've picked it up a bit lately. They had a bad start to the season, but results do look like they're slowly starting to improve. I mean, they needed that win against Northampton to climb out of the drop zone. Like I say, they're unbeaten. We've lost 1 of the last 7, but a lot of them have been draws, and a few of them have been in the EFL Trophy as well. So, that doesn't tell the full picture. We need to start getting a few wins to climb ourselves away from safety, but hopefully that won't be the case this weekend. And as for my team and the away team at Doncaster Rovers, we're currently sitting in 12th place at 24 in League 1, so bang in the middle, but we're now 7 points away from the playoffs and 4 points clear of relegation. So far this season, we've had 5 wins, 2 draws and 6 defeats in our 13 games. And of course, our last game was that 2-1 home loss to Northampton Town. And that of course means we have lost 2 games in a row, and we are winless in our last 6 league games, with 1 win in between that, which was in the EFL Trophy, a 3-0 win against Grimsby, and we had a 3-0 loss to Tottenham in there as well. So, yeah, form-wise, like I said earlier, we are bottom of the League One form table. Yeah, not good at the minute. We've not been performing, and we just don't look like we don't look like we're gonna score. To be honest with you, I know we had that 3-0 win in the EFL Trophy against Grimsby, but they had a lot of youngsters playing in that and stuff like that. You just don't see where the goals are going to come from. You're relying on Billy Sharp, who is going to be 40 soon. He does a good job, don't get me wrong, but you can't just rely on him. You can't rely on the midfielders to get the goals. The wingers haven't been producing enough, in my opinion, and the other strikers just need to do better. I'll be honest. I don't think they're good enough. I'll be honest with you, but they still need to do a bit better. It's been a frustrating one from a Rovers point of view, because especially how we start the season, like I say, we started really well. We're up in second after that Bradford game, and just since then we've just we've not won in the league since then, and we're just not looked the same team. I mean, that Wigan game where we lost the first of this run that we're on, that was just really disappointing. It just seemed like a completely different team, and that's just carried on throughout the rest of these last few games of the last month. So, like I say, hopefully we can turn it around, but it's going to be a tough game to do that, if I'm being honest with you. And a big reason for that being such a tough game is the head-to-head record, which looks absolutely disgusting for us. So, in the last few games, Reading are unbeaten in the last 13 games against us, and they've won 11 of them 13. They've won the last 2 in a row. It don't look good. Our last win against Reading were on 8th September 1984, where we won 4-1. In Division 3. So I think that's the old League One, but our head-to-head record is not good against Reading. So last time we were in the same division was when we were last in the Championship, which was 13-14 season. So Reading won their game at home by 4-1, and then at the Eco Power Stadium, our last home game of the season, we lost by 3-1. So it's not a good record, and I think that brings me nicely on to my predictions. So in my opinion, I've never fancied us in this game. It don't matter. Like, it could have been after the Bradford game when we were on fire. I still would have, wouldn't have fancied us in this. It's just a game that I look at and it's like it don't look. I'm just not confident. I've never been confident when we've played Reading in the past. It's just they're just one of them teams. Like I say, it seems to have a number at the minute. I know we can a bit like Harrogate. It all takes a win and you've broken that curse, but. I just don't fancy us. I think it's going to be, it's a tough place to go. They've picked up a bit, and we're just not looking good at the minute. Hopefully we'll turn it around, but I don't think it's going to be this game. I thought we were going to beat Northampton game last weekend, and that weren't the case, so hopefully I'm wrong with this as well. But I've had 2-1 in my head for ages to Reading, and I'm going to stick with that, to be fair. So I'm going to go Reading 2, Doncaster, Rovers 1 for my prediction. But like I said, I was wrong with Northampton last week. Hopefully I'm wrong again this week. So just before we leave then, let's have a look at the fixtures coming up to next Friday. So, of course, we've got Devon Derby. It's currently 1-0 to Exeter as I'm recording this. But like I said, obviously you'll know full-time score by now. But in terms of other games, your early kickoffs this week, you've got Bolton versus Cardiff, which feels like a really big game, and then Mansfield versus Wigan as well, both of them at 12:30. And then the other games, you've got AFC Wimbledon versus Burton Albion, Barnsley versus Rotherham in a South Yorkshire derby, Leyton Orient versus Lincoln City, a tough away game for Lincoln, and then Northampton Town versus Luton Town, Peterborough United versus Blackpool, the bottom two are playing each other there. Ian Everts obviously coming in as well, be interesting to see how he does. Of course, game we've been talking about, Reading versus Doncaster Rovers, Stevenage taking on Bradford. That should be an absolute cracker, 2 of the top 3 playing each other, and finally Wycombe Wanderers against Huddersfield. And then we've got a few other games as well coming up. On the Monday night, 8 o'clock kickoff, we've got Port Vale versus Stockport County, and then 2 games on the Tuesday, which cancelled due to the last international break. We've got Bradford City versus Lincoln City, 2 real tough games for Bradford in this game week. And finally, we've got Mansfield Town versus Plymouth Argyle. So, one of Plymouth's 5 away games in a row. So, anyway, that concludes League One and this full Rovers Rundown episode. So, I hope you've enjoyed it. Like I say, the first one, so it's just one of them. I'm kind of going to film it and just put it out there, see how it does, see what goes well, what doesn't, and we'll chop and change from there. But yeah, any suggestions, anything you'd like to see, any guests potential we could have on, any, opposition fans, anything like that, just let me know. It's first episode, so like I say, open to changing absolutely everything. But yeah, every Friday at 2:30, that is the plan. So yeah, make sure you come back next week for the next Rovers Rundown episode. We'll have a look at the Reading game, and then of course we've got Crewe in the FA Cup as well, so we'll be having a look at that next week. So anyway, until the next video, I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new here, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 3,000 subs, and please like this video as well. Let's aim for 50 likes on this one. Let me know your score prediction in the comments for the Reading versus Rovers game, and let me know what you think the biggest game in League One this weekend is. And please remember to follow my social media at Adam Gittings PT on pretty much everything. So check back next Friday at 2:30 for the next episode. But in terms of vlogs, the next vlog will be that Reading versus Doncaster Rovers vlog. Match on the Saturday. Video will be out at some point on the Sunday, so make sure you check back on Sunday to find out how we did. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.